Hello my friends and welcome to a SmackDown Ups and Downs in a very strange hotel room because I'm in America right now. I mean, look at this light, it's kind of over there, so half my face is lit and the other half is not. I've basically become Harvey Two-Face. But I have just watched SmackDown and I watched it live at a normal time too, which is always fun. Do you know what we learned? Solo Sikoa is like Christina Aguilera. He knows what he wants. Let's up those downs. And that was because the very first thing we did see was the Bloodline 2.0 coming to the ring. When Solo Sikoa got the microphone, he was like, I want to talk to Roman Reigns. It didn't sound like that. Because even though he could have phoned him at any point during the week, he must deliver his information tonight, and he shall forgive the former tribal chief if he comes to the ring and says sorry, but also has to acknowledge Solo Sikoa and call him the tribal chief. So who knew these two words could have so much power? I mean, at the time I was like, there's more chance of my hair growing back. When WWE decided to 1, kill the brand split, and 2, send this crowd crazy, because who came to the ring? It was flubbing Jey Uso, and this was great. I mean, I just want to be his best friend, which is a very strange thing to say, and even here, he was such a mega baby face. He was like, oh, hey, little bro, I'm not here to fight you, I just want to try and reunite the family, and you were doing the opposite. Jey was even a little bit like, dude, if you want to take out Roman, that's totally fine, but you must think about the bloodline. Sikoa was like, nah, you don't get it. If it wasn't for me, this family would be dead already. So I do believe there are odds with each other. It's also essentially Star Wars, and Solo even said, Jey, you can be part of us. But Uso was like, nah, man, you've taken this way too far, because you shouldn't have got Tama Tonga and Tangaloa, because those two dudes are nuts. And we all talked about this before. Nobody should have hired Jacob for 2, because 1, that guy's crazy, and 2, if he keeps looking at me, I'm gonna punch him in the face. Once again, these fans went nuts. Now there was going to be a scuffle, but eventually we calmed things down here because of course we are being patient. And here's the deal. I think Solo Sikoa is so good in this role. I love the Bloodline 2.0. Jey Uso has benefited so much for everything we have done. He comes out, you're just like, bah! Jey Uso, because we all turn into the Muppets. We also know that it's going to be Bloodline versus Bloodline soon, so we do have to be patient. Thought this was a great start to SmackDown. Give it an up. When we got to our first triple threat tag team match of the week, because what's going to happen is we're going to have another one later on, and then those 2 victors are going to fight in 7 days' time. The winner of that becomes the brand new #1 contender. Nice and simple. Here is also DIY versus Pretty Deadly versus the Street Profits, and what a great reminder how good the WWE tag team division could be right now. I mean, we are going to have a little bit of a reshuffle, but when you break it down to raw talent, which is a poor choice of words, at the moment it's in a very good place. I'm just going to tell you what we're doing here as well, because I'm so excited. Earlier in the day on social media, Nick Aldis did welcome the Motor City Machine Guns to the WWE, and he put them in the other triple threat match. Now, some people were like, I can't believe this is how we debuted the Motor City Machine Guns. I'm sorry, man. These 2 dudes at one point were never going to be hired by WWE, so if this is the way we get here, I am not going to get angry about it. Beggars can't be choosers. I'm just going to be the dance of joy, because if anyone deserved it, these 2. I mean, I wouldn't even mind if WWE went and made them clowns. Please don't make them clowns, it's a terrible idea. And listen, quick spoiler, DIY won this one, and the Motor City Machine Guns do win the one later, which means next week, in the WWE, on SmackDown, we are doing the Motor City ones versus the DIY ones, and I think that's the greatest thing ever. Pretty Deadly were really smart during this match too, because they just stayed out of Dodge while everybody else had a big fight. But when they spilled to the outside, they started abusing our wrestling ringside friends. And also, when one of their opponents would run away, the other one would surprise them, punch him in the face. The problem is that Angelo Dawkins was watching this. He was like, nah, man, and he just pounced them out of their skin. Basically means they're dead. Johnny then felt left out, so he did a dive when Montez Ford was like, I could do better than that. And he just did the most ridiculous high flying you've ever seen. The guy is one of a kind. Even though that was RVD, they could just do it together. Mercer then got revenge because he smashed out a knee onto Ford and got a 1-2-ooh, when Pretty Deadly were breaking up all the pins. These 2 guys, they just make me laugh, although what the flub happened to their musical, but anytime somebody else tried to get a pin, they were there, and they tried to steal the pin, they couldn't do it. They all then went totally bonkers because we were getting air raid crashes from 450s when the tag klaxon went off, and everybody started to fight again. But once again, Elton Prince and Kit Wilson were a little bit like, well, we'll just take our time. Now they were going to get murked eventually, and this did lead to an odd finish, but actually when I sat down and thought about it, I was a bit like, you know what? We probably did need to protect the Street Profits, So this is what we came up with, why not? Because essentially both Ciampa and Montez were able to get pins here, so we did a double pin, and at first nobody knew what was going on. When the ref was like, I'm not giving it to the Profits from the Street, Montez Ford wasn't even the legal man. Damn. Now the commentators had teased this too, because beforehand they were like, oh, it's so chaotic. How can the official keep up with this? And the official was not Dr. Robotnik, but again, the Street Profits have lost load recently, so I will take it. I've already told you how excited I am for the match next week, so you can't drag me down from Cloud9 up. Which is a total lie, because I'm going to give it a down right away. But if we were having all these triple threat matches, where is Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews? And why were they a team? And now why are they not a team anymore? I mean, at least turn them into single stars. It just popped in my brain when I was watching down. Roman Reigns and Big Jimmy Uso then got to the building. I'm like, dudes, you are so damn late. And who did they bump into? Jey Uso. And this was a little bit strange at first, because Jey seemed pleased to see Jimmy, even though he wasn't on Raw. But when he looked at Roman, my gosh, he was gonna storm off. When Reigns went back to his emotional manipulation ways, and he dragged Jey back and he said, listen man, we're all proud of you. And Jey kind of thought about this before he said no yeet. So that's the strangest conversation two people have any had. But once again, we are planting those seeds, and they are all gonna get back together at one point. And I will cry tears from my seeing devices. When we saw the eyesore, also known as the Crown Jewel belt. Nia Jax was also annoyed at Nick Aldis because she was just shouting at Tiffany Stratton on the phone, because I think Tiffany may have had the flu, and now they're not going to be able to do their tag team match. Nikki disagreed with this. He said, listen, we have lots of women here, so you're going to have to tag with someone else. When very conveniently, Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae walked in. I was like, where the hell have you been? And Indy didn't get picked here, but Candice did. So Jax turned to her and said, if you do not do what I tell you, I shall end you. You can't say that. Bring down the crime counter, it goes up by 1. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair were then watching from the front row, so they must have bought a ticket. When amazingly, we were going to do Piper Niven versus Lash Legend. I did not have this on my 2024 bingo card. Now Jakara Jackson was here as well, so I think it's a trial for these guys. And listen, they look great. And actually, based on this match, maybe they are good to go. I thought this was pretty good. Now they shoved each other to begin with to establish they are both power wrestlers, and not even shoulder tackles were working. So if you were able to get in a time machine and go back to 1987 and tell a wrestler from that period of this, they would have gone, you have to be kidding me. Bless this Piper though, because she totally understood the assignment and she bumped her ass off, and at one point she kind of died at Lash, who just grabbed her and gave her this slam. That legend, she is way strong. It didn't even look like it was an effort. Chelsea Green then freaked out because of course this was her friend, which allowed Jakara to get involved. But as a wrestler had done something outside of the wrestling ring, Lash Legend didn't know what was going on. So Piper Niven snuck up on her. She hit her one when she made a fatal mistake and she went to the top rope. Nope. Because instead Lash was able to get out of the way with this when she picked up Piper Niven and gave her that back-to-back slam thing, but that looked so damn good, and she got the 1, 2, 3, which means she got the victory. Now listen, does she need more experience? Yes, but you know how you get more experience? By being put in opportunities like this, and all things considered, I think she hit a home run. Let's call them up to the main roster. Up. Given who was here as well, I assume they'll be going after the tag team titles again, which is very interesting. When, for some reason, we cut back to that crown jewel thing and we were putting it in a big case. Well, that's probably because then no one has to look at it again. We then saw Roman chilling in the locker room where he showed me what a buffoon I was. Because after Jimmy Uso was like, what are we going to do? Roman said, listen, we tried it your way. Now we're going to try it my way. So he's back to the gaslighting. And that's right, I shall tonight acknowledge Solo Sikoa. If you've never watched wrestling before, you'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? But if you have been watching the last 4 years, this was basically an earth-shattering announcement. Cody Rhodes walked to the ring after this as well to a mega pop, so that was fun because our two faces of the company were back to back. Although, don't go and argue that online. People will get really, really mad. Now he admired the crowd when I think he started making Paul Heyman references because he was talking about a wise man. And he was like, when you are the top guy, you have to know who's coming next and you're never going to realize it. But now that's not the question because it's not who's now and it's not who's next. Maybe he's talking about Goldberg. It's who's first. That's right, him and Gunther are going to be fighting after the Crown Jewel Championship. Now bless this man because he is trying so hard. He even put up some comparisons here. He was like, it could be like the NWA champion Harley Race taking on the WWF champion Bruno Sammartino. It could be like Flair versus Bockwinkel. Hell, it could be like Goldberg versus Austin. We never got any of those. but we are getting Cody versus the Gunther. Now he is right. I would just prefer it if the story was fighting over a super duper mega belt as opposed to something that looks like a power-up from Final Fantasy. Then he would like to see Gunther in the ring next week so they can do a face-to-face. I was like, we've done that. We did that last week on Raw. So even though people are putting the effort in, this just screams, well, we've got to do it, so we're just going to get through it. Thankfully, we did switch to a proper narrative after this, because after Cody Rhodes had left the ring, Kevin Owens popped up on the screen with a pre-recorded video, and he had talked about wanting to show this on Monday nights. So I guess he hacked the system and just did it. But he cannot believe that he has been suspended from the WWE, because think of all the brawls and all the fights that happened backstage, but just because he attacked the Golden Boy, he has been kicked out. And I was like, man, I love you, Kevin Owens. You're the only person that watches the show. Given all this, he feels undervalued and disrespected, because it's all about the American Nightmare, when he turned to Randy and he was like, Orton, man, you have hurt me even more, because you can say whatever you like about me, but I would never have punched you in the face. He also can't believe that Randy has sided with Cody, so after searching his feelings, he's not sure whether he can return. I was like, good grief. Given all the rumors online about his contract, I think that is going to tie directly into the story. Honestly, I love it so much. What is Randy Orton going to do? What is Cody Rhodes going to do? What is Kevin Owens going to do? But once again, what is getting right in the way? It's that damn Saudi Arabia show. So we're going to split the differences. That part is getting a down, but everything else with Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes is getting an up. That's compelling. The other stuff is like a free toy from a cereal box. We then saw Orton barge into Nick Aldis's locker room too, because he was like, listen dude, you need to give me Kevin Owens at Crown Jewel. This is when Nicky got a bit weird. He was like, well, I'd love to do that, but I can't. Randy was like, what do you mean you can't? Nick was like, well, I can't. So Orton was like, what do you mean you can't? He was like, it's above my station, dude. So Rand was like, well, I guess I'll go talk to that guy. So I presume he was talking about Triple H. I don't know. We'll find out. The follow-up was tremendous too, because it was our second triple threat tag match of Los Garza versus A-Town Down Under and the Motor City Machine Guns. They got the best entrance, they got really cool music, and they got a pop. It's made me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. Chris Sabin, Grayson Waller, and Angel Garza started too, so I was already invested. And honestly, this Chris went crazy. When he tagged in Alex Shelley, they were doing all their double team combos. I was like, that'll do, pig. That'll do. Los Garza then realized they had to up their game, so they did some double moonsaults. So Grayson was like, I can't be bothered with this. And he started throwing people into Barricade. But then he went for his rolling thunder thing. That's not what it called. He got murked too. Instead, Shelley was throwing elbows, so Austin Theory was like, well, I'm going to drop you with a jawbreaker. When Berto was finally in the thing, this was very much you go, I go, we all go, but obviously all eyes were on the Motor City Machine Guns, and they fit in like a glove. At one point, it looked like it was going to get away from them, but Sabin, being the veteran he is, made the blind tag. This is when him and Shelley did their final Mortal Kombat flurry, when they hit that neck breaker slash thingamajig that they do, and they got the 1, 2, 3. And Shelley even did an arrogant pin. This was like a statement victory, and there was my big nerd side where I was like, I can't believe we're even doing this. It's flipping fantastic. It's also one of my favorite things in wrestling, where it just goes to show you have the talent, eventually you will be able to show it on the big stage. I am giving this such a massive up, because sometimes I am an idiot, and I like to think about the human side. They must be over the moon, and more power to them. Can't remember if I said up. It was getting a massive flipping up. Byron Saxton then tried to interview Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes, because it's their Game 7 next week, but of course they got into a little bit of a scuffle when we did get to this very strange women's tag team match. Now, it actually had quite an important finish, and we'll get there, and early on, Nia Jax and Bayley were going at it, because of course they've been feuding, so now the feud must continue. Now, the real issue is that as soon as Candice LeRae tagged in, she got beaten up, so Nia Jax was having a meltdown. But when Nia and Naomi were going at it, Jax just flattened her with this senton, to the point on commentary, Wade Barrett even went, oh, and I think he broke down because he's become a robot. Naomi also trolled her hair a little bit because she was kind of dancing on her back. So Jax absolutely destroyed her with a spine buster when she got murked by the most devastating force in all of sports entertainment, the commercial break. So when we came back from the advert, it was hot tag to Bayley. Now, she really beat the living hell out of Candice when on the outside there we did a splash onto Nia Jax. But I guess that must have caused some kind of a distraction, because Indy Hartwell saw that. She was like, I'm going to interfere because I know what can happen. Because somewhere in between all of this, that allowed Candice LeRae to take her med pack when she hit her springboard moonsault, and she pinned Bayley for the 1, 2, 3. This crowd was totally stunned. I don't think they made a peep. So something must have happened to Tiffany Stratton here, but I tell you, Ever since Candice did turn heel, we haven't done much with her, so for some reason, I think I tapped into my human side again, which you shouldn't do. I was like, good for you, man. You deserve it. For no apparent reason, but she does. I would have to imagine that Bayley didn't mind doing this either, because she's all about helping other talent, although we definitely should stop beating her. But I found this all very intriguing. Now I don't know where it's going to go, because technically now Candice LeRae could be involved in the title scene. And what is Tiffany going to think about that? There's something to this. This is when we announced that LA Knight is going to be the special guest referee when it comes to Game 7, and some people didn't like that, but you know what we'll do here. There'll be no clear winner, and we can do the three-way for the US title. I mean, that's been clear since day one. Even if you didn't like that, though, you instantly forgot about it because Roman Reigns' music hit. As always, this place lost it. He was in tease mode because he told South Carolina to acknowledge him when he said, "I may be the last time I do that." And Solo Sikoa didn't even wait for Wrestling Rule 14.8. He walked to the ring. Now the fans were chanting OTC, so that thing is absolutely over. When Roman looked at Solo and was like, "I heard what you said earlier. You're not helping the family, man. The whole bloodline is totally broken. And have you forgotten everything we've lost this year? I mean, we're basically in the trash." Roman also promised his dad that his job was to unite the family, and he's not doing it as he asked Sikoa what he had to do. Solo was like, "Well, there's two words, man. Suck it." Didn't say that, he said acknowledge me. Now Roman thought about this for a good 68 years, when if you can believe it, he looked at Solo and he said, "You know what, I'll do whatever he takes." And he acknowledged the man, and I felt myself break inside. Once again, words have power. Now, of course, this wasn't enough for Solo Sikoa, who instantly changed his mind and said, "Nah, bruh, you gotta call me the tribal chief," when Roman snapped and said, "Yeah, or else what?" Solo was like, "I've got you there, you absolute buffoon. I knew you hadn't changed. If you're not going to change, I'm not going to change either." So they're children. We then went full-on mafia because the Bloodline 2.0 walked to the ring, dragging Jimmy Uso's lifeless corpse. And of course, the big thing is, where was Jey Uso? He either left the building or he was doubling down. He don't want that. Solo then jumped Roman, but that didn't work because Reigns whipped his ass. And actually, when he hit him with the Superman punch, the Ula Fala fell to the floor. Just as the head of the table was going to put it on, you know the deal, the Bloodline 2.0 ripped him to shreds, especially Jacob Fatu. It meant that Solo was able to spike him twice, which also meant another SmackDown ended with the Bloodline standing tall. And I understand that WWE has done this a lot recently, but once again, it's tying into Survivor Series, and eventually Jey Uso will come down to make the save, and we can judge it on the pop, which I think is going to be gargantuan. I just think this has benefited everyone, as we've already talked about. I also really enjoyed Solo Sikoa here. It kind of felt like we'd incorporated more of his NXT character, which is not a bad thing. I am going to give it an up. I just can't wait for the reunion. It's like high school. From nowhere though, I am going to throw another down in, because at the end I was like, oh my gosh, Giovanni Vinci has vanished from TV. I told you that wasn't going to work. Somebody called me a negative Nancy. But us bald guys, we always understand each other, whatever that means. Also, you can't stop me. I'm out of control. Down. Now, of course, please do let me know what you thought about SmackDown in the comments below, but I am going to give it an up overall. I did think it was a very good show, though I do just want to get through Crown Jewel. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen, which is my thoughts from Monday Night Raw. Thank you for bearing with me, my friends, in my crazy, crazy room. I'll be back next week proper. Goodbye.